Hi out there, this is Joe Foley. I decided to put together a short video biography a while ago because the group I'm involved with, Team Rubicon, was looking for a regional manager for our region, and I thought I might throw my hat in the ring. I've since decided that there are too many holes in my resume, but I've got a big 50th class reunion coming up, and I thought, well, why don't I go ahead and do this anyway? So here we go. I currently live in Bayou Vista, Texas, with my two dogs, Missy and Ava. I really love living here. I've been here about 20 years. It's a great place to live. I've been told from an early age that my name in Gaelic, Foley, means marauder for the faith. And I take that kind of seriously. I'm kind of a lighthearted guy. Most people that know me will attest to that, maybe too much sometimes. But when I get serious about something, I kind of approach it with zeal. And so, I'm a marauder for this, marauder for that. Currently, I'm kind of a marauder for Team Rubicon, which I would, if I could afford to spend all my time doing volunteer work for veterans and for disaster recovery, that's what I'd be doing. My son, Brett, is 44 years old. I have two beautiful granddaughters, Ramey on the left, Aaron on the right. That picture was taken a couple of years ago in Corpus Christi. Ramey is now 15 and Aaron is 13. And they're the light of my life. I was born in Paterson, New Jersey, but grew up in Raritan. Actually spent my high school years in Raritan. This is actually the house I lived in. I stumbled across this picture the other day on the internet, and right next to St. Bernard's Church. Those of you that are Marines out there know John Basilone very well. He was from Raritan, New Jersey. They still celebrate. I used to drive by the statue all the time and see him standing there with his water-cooled machine gun. He was the only soldier in World War II to win both the Congressional Medal of Honor and the Navy Cross. So that was pretty cool. When I went into the military, the draft was in force at that time, so I decided I wanted to do something a little more cerebral. And so I joined the Air Force, went to, after basic training, went to Chanute Air Force Base in Illinois, which was one of the dreariest places I've ever lived. Trained to be a Jet Over 2 aircraft mechanic. That's the big ones. We actually trained on the B-52. Then when I went, my first duty station was really great. I spent 2 years at Yokota Air Base in Japan. Could have actually extended there, but I didn't. I wish I had, looking in the retrospectoscope. Got to see Mount Fuji every day. Trained on C-141, or worked on C-141 Starlifter cargo planes. It was kind of like a way station, service station for planes flying back and forth to the Far East, Korea, the Philippines, and of course Vietnam, which was going strong at that time. That was 1967, 66. I worked on medevac flights a little bit, and of course we also had planes come through with deceased. I got to see a lot of aluminum cans stacked up in these planes headed back to the U.S. Volunteered to go to Vietnam 3 different times, but of course they didn't need a whole lot of Jet Over 2 aircraft mechanics, so I never got a chance to go. My final 2 years I spent at SAC headquarters, Strategic Air Command, at Offutt Air Force Base near Omaha, and worked on KC-135 Stratotankers. The one I worked on was called Christine, because it was a training tanker. It actually had a boom and a receptacle. There's no other aircraft like it in the Air Force. It was used for training. It was named after Christine Jorgensen, who was the first male to undergo a sex-free assignment operation. So I thought that was kind of interesting. When I got out of the Air Force, didn't really want to be an aircraft mechanic, so I matriculated into the X-ray program at the University of Nebraska Medical Center in Omaha, and decided to stick around and get my bachelor's degree in radiologic technology. I worked for a short time as an X-ray tech in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Then I was offered a job teaching at the University of Texas Health Science Center, where I also worked on a master's degree in public health. That project was interrupted by divorce. I never did get my master's degree, even though I only had 2 classes left to do. As I said previously, I actually trained X-ray techs. I still do continuing education for X-ray techs online. And I also worked for the University of Texas Medical School as a radiation safety specialist for a couple years, and spent some time at MD Anderson Cancer Treatment Center as well before I went commercial, and I've been commercial for most of my career. worked for companies like Konica, which is now Konica Minolta, did applications, traveled around the country, mostly a 4 or 5 state area, but I was also called for projects around the country. Worked for Agfa Medical, doing primarily the same thing. Sold capital equipment. I had a pretty good history of sales while I was doing that. Of course, I was always a restless spirit, so I kept moving around from one job to another. But if you ever had a CT, MRI, or been in the cath lab, whatever, those are the kind of pieces of equipment that I was involved in. I worked as the national sales manager for SNS X-Ray, which has a huge plant here in Houston, and I worked with distributors around the country and in Canada, and I had a group of 1099s working for me to handle that. So now I'm kind of a 1099 myself. I've got my own company, Leading Edge Medical, that my son works with me on. I have one client that manufactures lead aprons. We market teleradiology services, and we also have equipment that does electronic brachytherapy for cancer treatment and cryotherapy treatment, for tumor ablation. I also, because I've been involved in a couple different chambers of commerce, I enjoy talking to other small business owners, and I spent some time talking to people about doing business with the federal government. So I've done some counseling, and I'll probably do more of that for people that want to do business with the Fed. And of course, they have plenty of money, and when they run out, they just print more. And so a lot of people are afraid to do business with the Fed, and I try to teach them otherwise. Of course, the big thing with me is my volunteer activities, and I joined Team Rubicon back in 2012 when there were only about 3,000 members in Team Rubicon, which was born via the efforts of a handful of Marines that went to Haiti to help out after their gigantic earthquake. And so when I joined, there were about 3,000 members. Now there's about 23,000 members. But when I went on my first deployment, which was to Hurricane Sandy, I was with Lone Star Veterans Association Emergency Response Team. That's me right there. That's me right there. And I got to see some of the tragedy and some of the immense damage that could be done in an event like this. So I spent about a week there, and the emergency response team kind of withered away, and so I continued on with Team Rubicon. I got called to deploy to Operation Horned Frog, which was in the Granbury, Texas area that was struck by a tornado. That was my first experience seeing the kind of damage that tornadoes can do, even though I lived in Omaha, and we did have some tornadoes up there. But I got to meet some really, really great people, more than I met when I went to Hurricane Sandy. And so now some of these people are going to be lifelong friends and people whose friendship I value greatly. So we were there for one day, and then we got a call that Moore, Oklahoma, about a 3-hour drive away, had been hit by a major tornado, and so we saddled up and headed for Moore, Oklahoma the very next day. And of course, I got to meet a lot more people. I witnessed a lot more tragedy. This is a picture I took close to the elementary school where the 6 youngsters lost their lives. Anybody can join Team Rubicon, but it's probably 85–90% first responders and veterans. And of course, when we have a forward operating base, we salute the flag. We raise and lower the flag every day, and we separate into strike teams and go out. We tear houses down. We cut trees down. We can do search and rescue and those sorts of things, whatever needs to be done to bridge the gap between tragedy and recovery. And this is, this whole thing is very important for the members too, because we all get to be part of a team. We get to make new friends, old, young, all different backgrounds and training and whatnot. And so it's just a wonderful organization to be a part of, and I'm really proud of it. These are some more pictures from Operating Start and Gun. We do have a chance to exercise our camaraderie and enjoy one another. This was a picture taken on one of the last days I was there. We got pulled out because the feels like temperature was 108 degrees, and we sent a few guys to the hospital with heat exhaustion. So we rescue animals. This Buddy here was a good friend of Team Rubicon for a long time, and so we do have our lighthearted moments, but we know how to get down to business and get things done. Last year in the spring, I went to Faulkner County, Iowa. I was in Moore, Oklahoma for 17 days. I was in Faulkner County Arkansas rather, for 23 days, met some great new people, did a lot of good work. You know, there were a number of people that lost their lives there, and we really basically just humped out. So I was there for 23 days, and you know, it was a great experience. And obviously, you don't want to, you know, you don't want to have to do more disaster recovery, but it's a great way to get together with your friends and colleagues. And kind of because of Team Rubicon, I joined the Galveston County Community Emergency Response Team, where I've got more training. Some of the people in the upper right-hand corner are my neighbors and friends. We had a major oil spill in the Houston Ship Channel when a ship, a tugboat, and a barge collided, dropped a bunch of oil. It was a major event in terms of the number of people that showed up. We actually manned the phone lines for animal recovery, and we sent out strike teams to march the beaches and whatnot, looking for oil spills and oiled and dead animals. And so that's kind of what I did there. One of my visions for Team Rubicon is something I hope will sustain the organization, and I'm kind of a visionary, and thank God Rubicon has a lot of people with the talent to pull these kind of things off. But it's a nonprofit organization, and we, you know, our daily bread is donations. And if we don't bring in enough money to send people out, because you can imagine how expensive it gets, then we're not able to respond as much as we want to respond. And of course, a big thing is helping veterans as well. A lot of the people that I've met in Team Rubicon have traumatic brain injuries or PTSD, and you know, we cover each other's back. A lot of us stay connected on Facebook and those sorts of things. And so one thing that I'm actually building a plan for, I hope to attract some attention and some help, because you know, as I said, Team Rubicon needs cash flow in order to operate. I think we can put together a nonprofit construction company. I have another veteran friend, an older guy, that uses structural thermal panels to be able to manufacture housing a lot faster, that's energy efficient. We can build houses for veterans, for disaster victims. We can provide training and jobs for veterans, and also we can build facilities and raise money for mental health support. Clay Hunt, who was one of the original members who took his own life here in the Houston area, and his mother and stepfather, and a lot of the Iraq and Afghanistan veterans are responsible for the passage of the CARE Act, or the SAVE Act rather, for veterans for more suicide prevention support and PTSD support. So we really need these kind of things for our veterans. We've got the highest population of homeless veterans here in the Houston area, you know, which is a sad commentary on the way we treat our veterans. And so that'll allow us to do additional community support as well. And of course, camaraderie is so very important to keep our guys healthy and happy and productive, and that's what they want to be, is productive. So I tell people the only thing carved in stone is what's carved in your headstone. For me personally, I probably won't have a headstone, but if I did, what I would want carved on it would be he was a good man. And I'm hoping to increase that legacy through volunteer work and helping other people. And so if you see this on Facebook and want to reach out, find out more about Team Rubicon or see what I'm up to, feel free to do so. So with that, I will bid you an auspicious day, and good luck and best of health.